In this lesson, we will answer the question, why sexual mode of reproduction? Why is the sexual mode of reproduction preferred to the asexual mode of reproduction? Or what are the advantages of sexual reproduction over asexual reproduction? To answer this question, first let us go to the basic point of what is the difference between asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction involves just one individual. Like in the case of binary fission in amoeba, it was one amoeba that split into two daughter amoebae. When also we went to see the planaria in regeneration, one planaria cut in two was broken into small bits, and each of these bits developed into a new planaria. So in all this asexual reproduction, only one individual is involved. But in sexual reproduction involves two individuals. This involvement of two individuals speeds up the process of variation. To understand this, let us go to the steps involved in reproduction. The basic event or the most important step in reproduction is the copying of the DNA. In the earlier slides or lessons, we have seen that the DNA, which stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, is a blueprint of the body design. So when an individual has to reproduce, the first thing that happens is the DNA is copied, or the blueprint is copied. So here is the parent DNA, and this parent DNA is then copied during reproduction to give you the DNA of the offspring. But however, during this copying, there are always little mistakes, little irregularities that take place, and the DNA is not identical. So we'll just put these irregularities in the form of, so there are here three little irregularities have happened during the copying. This happens in every copying of the DNA. Never does a DNA produce an exact copy. There are these little mistakes which we call variations that take place in every copying, and this is the reason why the offspring is not identical to the parent. Now when the offspring again reproduces, so again there is copying takes place to give another offspring. Now this new DNA will have the earlier variations, plus it will have its new variation, the variations that have taken place during this copying. So these are the new variations. The old variations are copied, these were the old variations, and now you have the new variations. So in asexual reproduction, the offsprings are not identical to the parent because of these inaccuracies in the DNA copying. So asexual reproduction, variation does take place, but much slower. Now we'll discuss how in sexual reproduction this variation is speeded up. Variation speeded up in sexual reproduction. Now in sexual reproduction, we have seen it involves two individuals. So here we have the male and the female, which then fuse to give you the offspring. So the male and female will fuse to get the offspring. Now in every male and female, you will have two kinds of chromosomes. In the male, we'll have one set of chromosomes from his father and another set of chromosomes from the mother. So also here in the female, we'll have one set of chromosomes from the mother and the other set of chromosomes from the father. And remember, each of these chromosomes must have got copied, or the DNA would have been copied, and each one of them will have their own variations. So now you see the male has their own variations which they have inherited from his parents, and the female also has its own variations inherited from her parents. During sexual reproduction, the male and female gametes unite to give you a collection of variations in the offspring. And if you look up at the offspring, it will have inherited the variations from the male and as well as from the female. And you'll definitely agree the number of variations in the offspring are much more. They have been doubled because the offspring has inherited variations from the male as well as from the female. So now if I ask you the question, where does variation take place faster? And you'll definitely tell me that in sexual reproduction, the variations accumulation takes place much faster than asexual reproduction. Because in sexual reproduction, two individuals are involved, each one bringing their own variations, while in asexual, only one individual is involved. There is variation taking place in asexual, but it is at a much slower pace. So to summarize, we say sexual reproduction involves two individuals, hence accumulation of variation is faster. Now variations, remember, help species to adapt to the surroundings. In this slide, we will learn about the formation of gametes. We will learn what are gametes, how are they formed, what is the need for forming gametes, why don't human cells as they are combine with each other, fuse with each other to form an offspring. To understand the formation of gametes, let us have a look and see the number of chromosomes that humans have. Now in this picture you see we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. Here in the picture you can see this pair 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It goes on 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pairs, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And these two are put a little separately because these 22 pairs are divided into two groups, 22 pairs, and there's one special pair. We'll talk a lot about that one special pair in heredity and evolution. This 22 pairs are called autosomes. And this one special pair which is separate here is called the sex chromosomes. And these sex chromosomes decide the gender of the person. That's why it's kept a little separate. We will learn very much in detail the sex determination in human beings. It all depends on the sex chromosomes. So what we need to know now that we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. 23 pairs means 23 into 2, we have 46 chromosomes. Now what would happen if two human cells would combine straight away? So you have 42 chromosomes here, 46 chromosomes. You have 46 and you have 46. And if they were to combine straight on, you would now get 92 chromosomes. Definitely the offspring is not going to be a copy of the parent because the offspring has got the double number of chromosomes, the double number of characteristics, and this cannot happen. In fact, if this process were to continue, now if this 92 in the next generation would combine with another 92, now you will end up with 184 chromosomes in the next generation. This is, say, the first generation. By the time it is the second generation, you will get 184. And this process will continue. In the end, we'll have a whole lot of DNA around. So this is not possible. The human cells cannot divide as it is. So what is the solution for this? So in order to keep the number of chromosomes same in all the individuals in a species, this is what happens. The 46 chromosomes break down into half, into 23 chromosomes and 23 chromosomes. These cells that have got half the number of chromosomes are called the gametes. The number of chromosomes in gametes is half than the normal cell. This is a normal cell. This process is called meiosis, and it takes place in all sexually reproducing organisms. In general, we can say 2n chromosomes break up into n and n. These are called gametes. The normal cell is called diploid because it has got 2 sets of chromosomes, and these gametes are called haploid because it has got only 1 set of chromosomes. Now these gametes, since they have 1 set of chromosomes, like I have n here, the gamete, one gamete will then unite with another gamete will fuse to give again 2n. In this way, the number of chromosomes is kept constant or restored in our population. In this fusion, you have an haploid gamete, which 1 set of chromosomes, and another haploid gamete, the male and female, unite to give a diploid offspring. In this slide, we'll see the difference between male and female gamete. In humans, the male gamete looks here like this. It is called the sperm. And the female gamete is called the egg. Now, if you see the picture, the female gamete is always larger in size. And why is it large? It is larger because it stores food. After fusion takes place, the zygote needs to grow. Like you have the male, you have the female gamete, the male gamete fusing with the female, which is larger, to give you the zygote. Now this zygote later on divides and redivides. Here is a zygote. Will then divide and redivide to give a multicellular embryo, which then develops into the offspring. So all this requires energy, and for all this energy, the egg stores the food. Hence, the egg is larger, and the egg does not move. Now, when you go up to the sperms are very small, they're very tiny, because they need to move. Hence, if they were larger, a larger amount of energy would have been required. So they are very tiny, it makes them easy to move, and there is no food present for them. So where do they get their energy from? We will discuss this in the next slide. So sperms are small, they have no food stored. Fine, so here we go to the difference. Here female are larger in size because of storage of food, male is smaller in size. Female, there are some corrections here, non-motile, while the male is motile, it moves. The female is produced in small numbers, the male is produced in very large numbers. The one similarity between both are haploid. This is haploid, it has got 1 set of chromosomes, and the female is also haploid, got just 1 set of chromosomes.